Well, we made it to Friday. Welcome to Spicer and Company. I'm Sean Spicer.
And I'm Lyndsay Keith. I'm so glad we did, Sean. You know, we heard from the Trump team and the president himself in the last 24 hours, and White House Press Secretary Kayleigh McEnany briefed reporters for the first time since October 1st. They got kind of heated out there at the end of the press conference. Take a listen.
Thank you, everyone, for the very good and substantive questions today.
Do you understand that you lost?
I don't call on activists.
I'm not an activist.
Sean.
Man, that gave me some PTSD, Liz.
I was going to say, how happy are you you're not there?
Well, I think Kayleigh did a great job, but it was funny because just so I walk everyone through that, the Playboy White House correspondent, yes, you heard me right, the Playboy White House correspondent, it is about the articles, was accusing Kayleigh of sedition when the CNN reporter jumped in, to which Kayleigh called her and said, "I don't call on activists," to which the CNN reporter said, "I'm not an activist," and Kayleigh walked out of the room. It was nice to be a viewer this time, I'll tell you that.
I'm sure it was. You know, we also heard from the president today talking about pharmaceuticals and bringing the price down. I know we're going to talk to Seth Denson about that later on. He's a healthcare expert, so excited to get his take. And the second time we've heard from the president on healthcare issues, obviously talking about COVID and the vaccines just last week.
Yeah, big news coming out of the White House from the president on multi-fronts to take down the cost of prescription drugs. And as you mentioned, Seth is going to help break this down for us later in the show. But Lyndsay, this is the third time in 24 hours that we heard from Team Trump. Just yesterday, though, the big news came out of the president's legal advisors when they held a press conference on the status of alleged voter fraud. That was the Rudy Giuliani press conference where he made it very clear that the press can't keep saying that there's no evidence. But let's get the latest on this from someone who was there, who talked right up front, senior legal advisor to the president, Jenna Ellis. Jenna, welcome back to the show.
Thanks so much, Sean. And I have to say that if, Playboy can get White House press credentials, that tells me that they've set the bar so low. That's the reason that Jim Acosta gets his press credentials. I understand now. Thank you for clearing that up for me.
Yeah, I think it's fascinating to realize that that's one of those people that's asking the questions there. I loved one of the sound bites that you had in the press conference. You talked about this yesterday. You don't think that Benson and Stabler from Law and Order are going to wrap this up real quick. I want to play for the audience what you said, though, about Law and Order.
This is not a Law and Order episode where everything is neatly wrapped up in 60 minutes. For those of you who are here in this room or have maybe tuned out in other networks, clearly you've never been court reporters. Trials take time.
I think that for a lot of folks, they really do think it's a Law and Order episode, and it's going to get wrapped up by the time we get to the end of an hour-long episode, and it'll be in a nice little bow, and Benson and Stabler will have put the bad guy away. So that is clearly not the case. Walk us through the timeline, because the electors meet on December 14th, right? So talk to me now. Explain to the audience what happens between now and then.
Well, the first thing that Team Trump has been trying to do is not have the state certify these false results. And that's the first thing that we have to do to make sure that we preserve election integrity. And then we can actually go in to court and present our evidence, present these witnesses. So, Sean, we have three different types of witnesses. For example, this is all about election official fraud. So we know that the Democrats and these operatives, these election officials, have been changing the rules on the ground. They can't do that outside the scope of the state law. That's only the province of the legislature. So they have changed the rules. So you have election officials who have told other election officials to change the rules the day of, manipulate ballots, encourage voters to vote for Joe Biden. We have voters who are the second category, who have had instances of intimidation, of being told when they walk in that they've already cast a ballot, and they're saying, no, I didn't, but they're only being given a provisional ballot. Then you also have these observers, these watchers, that have said that they're not able to meaningfully observe the ballot being counted. So we have all of this direct evidence that there is election integrity issues. There is fraud, and these are illegal ballots that are being counted because they're not being done according to the law. We have not had an opportunity to put on that evidence, make our case. And so all we're trying to do is say, don't certify these false results because illegal ballots are in the mix. That's something every American should care about. We are in a very tight time lane. We have constitutionally imposed deadlines, but we believe that if we get the opportunity in Nevada, in Michigan, in Pennsylvania, then a recount in Wisconsin, we're contemplating one in Georgia, with all of those states combined, we know that this election was stolen from President Trump, and we can prove that.
Okay, so late today, Georgia had conducted a hand recount, and the Secretary of State certified the election today for Joe Biden in Georgia. Where do you guys go from here?
So we're contemplating asking for a recount there, because what happened is that Georgia just simply hand counted the illegal ballots once more. So that didn't change anything. That didn't actually take care of the issue. So we need to have an honest recount, and we need to actually signature match. That's what the president's been tweeting about. We need to make sure that every legal vote is counted and every illegal vote is set aside and not counted in those totals. Then we will get to an accurate, honest total in Georgia.
Because Mayor Giuliani made that point yesterday that if you just recount the votes and there's ballots in there that weren't supposed to be in the first place, then you're just recounting the stuff that's in there again, and you're going to get the same outcome. So how do you sort of discern a ballot that may not have been properly cast from one that was?
And that's a great question, because there are a wide variety of ways to do that, depending on what's going on the state and local level. And so, for example, when you have ballots that are counted in secret, then there isn't really a way. And as Mayor Giuliani showed, that the ballot, once it's been removed from the security envelope, it's impossible then to put it back together. Those need to just be cast aside. Then you also have manipulated ballots. You have ballots that maybe the signatures don't match. That's what's going on in Nevada. 40,000 ballots that is not a signature matching requirement according to Nevada state law. And so we have those 40,000 that need to actually be counted in a way that is according to Nevada law. So there are a lot of different ways that the ballots need to be counted according to each state's individual law to make sure that the states are counting every legal ballot.
You had some advice for the press yesterday about facts and them mattering. Let me play it for the audience.
The facts matter, the truth matters. And if you are fair reporters, you will cover that fairly and appropriately, and you will allow coverage of our media team here and our legal team. That is absolutely shocking that all you cover are around the margins. And I've seen all of you taking pictures right now, and I can anticipate what your headlines are going to be. If you are not willing to talk about the evidence that has been presented, then that is absolutely unacceptable for journalistic standards.
Well, Jenna, you must start giving me lottery numbers now, because you were right. I want to show the audience some of the headlines that popped out today. You were spot on. They didn't really do this, but it was funny. Not only those were the ones that were there and covered it, but I want to show you what CNN actually had to say, because they didn't actually even cover it, even though they wrote one of those headlines. Let me play you for what one of the hosts there said.
It has been a bad week for the Trump legal team that actually right now is holding a press conference that is so bananas we can't even bring it to you because it's just so full of BS. The Trump legal team mission is a mission impossible. And that's even before you consider the collective lawyering abilities of this crack team that Trump has assembled: Rudy Giuliani, Jenna Ellis, Joseph DeGenova, Victoria Tonsing, and Sidney Powell.
Jenna, I don't mean to jam you. We don't have a ton of time left, but just tell me you predicted it. So what do you have to say about what they did based on what you told them that they would probably do?
They're censoring us, and they don't want their viewers to actually hear directly from us. They can't even pronounce Joe DeGenova's name correctly, so clearly they haven't done their fact insights or research into this, but it's pure censorship. And for every person out there, if there's a network that is refusing to bring you something on the air because they want to declare it bananas, that should tell you everything you need to know about the fact checking and actual journalism of that network. That's disgusting.
Yeah, Newsmax carried it live. Jenna Ellis, thank you for coming on and breaking this down in almost a small little episode of Law and Order, so it can be kind of done. But I appreciate you breaking this down, and we look forward to having you back and getting an update.
Sounds good. Thanks, Sean.
Newsmax TV is now America's fastest growing cable news channel. We give you the real news you need. So subscribe to our YouTube channel and give us a thumbs up. If you like this video, share it with your friends. Newsmax TV streams live on YouTube for free. Newsmax TV, real news for real people.